This week in Shohei Ohtani news, we're going to talk all about him, the week he had, how possible it is, or is it possible for him to win an MVP award this year as a DH, and the new news about Ippei, his former translator, that has come out and created quite the stir in the media. So, Alex, let's start there.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Ippei Mizuhara news, and it came out a couple of days ago that Ippei has pled guilty to bank and tax fraud and everything that this entire investigation that we all talked about dove into. Ippei pled guilty and is now facing up to just over 30, I believe 33 years in jail. So, a lot to talk about here. The first of that being, that is, again, this situation sucks. It is sad. He is now facing 30 years in jail. But, you know, when I step back and look at this situation, I think of a few things. One, how this situation was handled by Shohei and his team being one of them. I look back to fairly early on when he went public in front of the camera and was more candid than I thought most people thought he would be at his presser and came forward and spoke publicly. I thought I was impressed by that, and I've been impressed with how it's been handled ever since. This was handled so quickly in the grand scheme of things. Really unheard of how quickly it all came together, how quickly the investigation was launched, how quickly it came to a resolution. And next thing you know, Ippei is pleading guilty to all of it. And I just think, luckily, Shohei was surrounded by a great team very quickly and able to come to this resolution. But I do want to say one thing to, the response, I don't know if response is the word, but the narrative out there when this all came about. There's really two sides, as there is to everything, right? And half or more than half are saying this is an awful situation. I feel heartbroken for Shohei. This just sucks. And then there's the people that run with a narrative of, oh, Ippei's a fall guy. Oh my God. Here's what I would say to that. And I hope this finally puts a little bow on it all. There is not a dollar amount in the entire world for some fall guy to face 30 years in prison. This is a bit of a different story if we're talking, he's going to jail for 30 days, or there was a plea deal involved and he's not going to jail. He's facing up to 33 years in jail. To think that there was some fall guy involved here is absolutely ridiculous. Again, I'm glad this is seemingly coming more and more to an end and more to a resolution after Ippei does plead guilty. And I'm just thankful that one, Shohei is raking and the Dodgers are playing well. And two, that this is seemingly quickly. We're talking like a month, just under a month and a half ago, this all came about. For it to be done and ending this quickly just speaks volumes to the team he had put around him and to his entire team. Yeah.
How do you pay someone back $16 million, especially if you're in jail possibly for 33 years? I mean, the whole situation is just like absolutely horrible because I don't think you're going to get that kind of money back. And you lost a best friend and you got completely screwed over by someone that you thought was family. And it's just, again, it's heartbreaking. The whole situation, like as shitty as it is for Ohtani, obviously, Ippei, to be with someone that close every single day and to be able to do something like that is mentally insane. Like when you think about it, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So it does. It's weird. It is weird to have like spent a good bit of time around him and both of them, and
spent a lot of years around both of them.
It's an eye-opening thing. I hope for everyone to to think that this could happen is scary.
Someone that's next to you and with you all day, every single day. You think you know someone,
and that's how he was able to do it because he just weaseled his way into a position.
That's the heartbreaking part of it.
Where,
Like,
you know, he was the liaison, the middleman
yes, the
between his
voice.
agent talking to Shohei. Everything
The
went through
banks,
Ippei.
everything.
And what resulted was, unfortunately, him lying to absolutely everyone in Shohei's life and his life and everyone's life. So just to put a little bow on it, Ippei has pled guilty, is facing up to 33 years in jail, and luckily, this is all coming to a close. And Shohei had a great team around him, and they reacted quickly to this, and here we are.
The other craziest thing about this, to kind of transition out, is with all of this going on and how crazy this whole scandal has been, Ohtani is one of the hottest players in baseball right now. And just this past week, he gifted his manager, Dave Roberts, a toy Porsche because he officially passed him as the Dodgers' all-time home run leader for a Japanese player.
Yeah, this is great. So we have been talking
cute.
for a couple weeks. He's getting closer and closer to the all-time Dodgers Japanese-born home run record, which was owned by Dave Roberts, his manager, who with 7.
Yeah.
Shohei passed that. And the toy Porsche was funny because he obviously gifted Joe Kelly and his wife a new Porsche
for giving him the number.
Giving him his number, 17. So for passing Dave Roberts, he also gave him a Porsche. And if you're watching, you can see the picture of it in the wall. It is a little toy miniature Porsche, which is great. So loved that. Loved the week Shohei had. Just mashed. 467, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, a 1.625 OPS, raising his season stats. On the year, he's hitting 355 with 11 homers, 27 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, a 1.103 OPS. Just remarkable. The season that he's having is remarkable. What Clayton Kershaw, all-time great in the dugout the other day, was talking about him and said, I don't remember him even being this good in Anaheim. I don't remember him ever being on this kind of tear. This is unbelievable. Every ball that he hits, he's just so strong. I don't get it. I don't think anybody does. He's just amazing. And that's a future Hall of Famer, a guy that's been around the game for a long, long time, that has seen a lot of really good baseball in his life. And even he is in absolute awe of what Shohei Ohtani is doing on a baseball field.
Well, you have to remember, Shohei Ohtani is one of the most dedicated, focused players we have ever seen. He is a 2-time unanimous MVP, 2-way player, something we had never seen before. So now he's not only still recovering from getting his non-Tommy John surgery to get back on the mound, but he is solely focused on hitting right now. And we knew something special was going to happen this season when all of that focus, all of that great energy was just going to be honed in on him at the plate. Okay. But Ben, a sole DH has never won an MVP. So what would it take for Ohtani to win NL MVP this year just as a DH?
Well, a DH has never won MVP, like you said. That has never happened. There have been 2 DHs that have finished second in the MVP voting, Paul Molitor and David Ortiz. Now, there has been, again, no DH to ever win MVP, but there has never, in the history of baseball, been an MVP or been a designated hitter like Shohei Ohtani. And what do I mean by that? I don't just mean like there's never been a player like Shohei. Though true, it's not exactly what I'm saying. One, it's interesting that Shohei, the reason he's just DHing is because of what you just said. He's a 2-way player. He's injured. He's not pitching this year. He just got Tommy John. He just got elbow surgery, so he can't throw. I do think that matters. Part 1, I think that matters. Part 2, he is Shohei Ohtani, and I do think that matters. I think it matters, and this could be off base, but I think it matters that he is the biggest superstar that baseball has.
Okay.
That he...
Like it could help him?
I think it helps him.
Okay.
That he's the biggest superstar the game has, that he brings what he does to the baseball world, that he just had the offseason that he did where he just became the highest paid player in North American sports history. That he's the greatest player that we've ever seen. I think all of that helps him because you look down at the ballot and you see a guy like Shohei Ohtani, and it's like, whoa, that name means something. Not that Mookie Betts doesn't, not that Ronald Acuna Jr. doesn't. But you look down and you see Shohei Ohtani, it's like, man, I'm able to check the box right now on what could possibly be the greatest player that has ever played the game of baseball. That's part 2. Part 3 being he might steal 40 bags this year.
Whew.
And that is something that is very rare out of a designated hitter role. The record, if you will, for a DH. And I'm going back and thinking if they were at the designated hitter position for over 100 games in the year, Shohei's going to be 162 or however many games he ends up playing this year. He ain't going to play a game other than in the DH role, unless he plays a game or two in the outfield at the end of the year, which I don't think is going to happen. But these other guys are, Paul Molitor played over 100 games in a DH role one year. So I'll say we'll say that he DH'd. He stole, the record is 31 stolen bases. Okay. So in this year, the year he came in second, 1993, he hit 332, hit 22 home runs, 111 RBIs, stole 22 bases, had a 5.6 WAR. The all-time record for a full-time DH, if you will, is 31 stolen bases. I think Shohei is going to break that. I think Shohei is going to break the record for most stolen bases for a DH ever. That's not something you normally see, right?
Yeah.
A designated hitter isn't typically going to steal you a bunch of bases. They're the big poppies of the world. They're the JD Martinez's of the world. When he had a year with the Tigers where he was predominantly DH, that he was unbelievable. They're the Jordans of the world, the Edgar Martinez's of the world, guys that aren't stealing you 10 bags. Shohei might steal you 40. So I look at that year with Paul Molitor. There was a year with David Ortiz, the year that he came in second, that he put up some numbers that you would argue were good enough. 300 average, 47 homers, 148 RBI, and a 5.2 WAR. So the last two guys I mentioned, David Ortiz and Paul Molitor, couple things in common there. One, they came in second in the MVP voting. Two, both of them had a WAR in the fives. And if you might be confused exactly about WAR, join the club. But essentially, there's a lot of different things that go into it that, position being one of them, being a designated hitter hurts your WAR. You start at a disadvantage. So 5.2, 5.6 in that WAR range is what got them second in the MVP voting. Shohei Ohtani is on pace for a WAR over 10 out of the DH role. There's only been a few 10-plus WAR seasons in history.
Yeah.
And Shohei's had a couple of them. He's on pace this year for solely a DH. He's had a 10-plus WAR season before because he's a pitcher and a hitter. As solely a DH, currently on pace for over a 10 WAR. So I do think the conversation is one to have. And I'm glad we are having it. I think there is a possibility for him to win the MVP award. But what gets interesting to me with this year is let's look at the two front runners.
Okay.
One being Shohei.
Yeah.
One Mookie Betts. So
yep.
The interesting thing to me is you have one of those guys playing shortstop, a premier position on the field where WAR is helped when you're playing shortstop. The other playing DH. So they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. You're going to vote for if let's say they're neck and neck, the shortstop's getting that vote because he's playing shortstop. But then let's add in the fact that, and again, Mookie's having as of right now, if the season ended today, and these are the numbers he put up, are on pace, one of the greatest seasons of all time. But let's just say Mookie ends up playing just an average MLB shortstop, maybe average to slightly below average in that range. And then you have Shohei being a DH, but not a DH like we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So I do think that narrows the field just a little bit. We're not talking an elite shortstop or even a really good defending shortstop. We're talking an average MLB defensive shortstop, which, by the way, we're going to give points where points are due. The guy was a right fielder. The guy was played second base. He's now on his own saying, I will help the team and go play the premier position of shortstop.
Such a stud.
Insane.
Such a stud.
Then you have Shohei. He could steal 40 bags this year. No DH has ever won it. I think this is the year where it absolutely could happen. But it's gonna take a lot, Alex.
It's gonna take, I think for me, if he wins a Triple Crown, that could be a really big boost in Ohtani's direction. Now, he currently leads the league in batting average. He's first. He's tied for second in home runs at 11th. He's 13th in RBI. And as you said, he could potentially steal, what'd you say, 40 bags, you thought? He's currently 10th with 9. Yeah. So if Ohtani wins the Triple Crown, I think that would be the biggest help for him to be that one step over Mookie Betts, who's actually, as you said, playing the elite position on the field as well.
Yeah, I put together some numbers of where I think my prediction of where he could win MVP. But he is on pace. If we could put that stat back up in the wall for a second. Again, I mentioned 5.2 WAR and I think 5.6 for the 2 MVPs that came in second. Shohei's on pace for an 11.7 WAR currently. That's what he's on pace for. Okay. So if he's gonna do that, I don't see how you can't give him the MVP award. My prediction for statistics.
Yeah.
I think if he can hit 325 with 50 homers, 120 RBIs, and steal 40 bases, that's where I think it's big. If he can get into the 40-40 club, and with these numbers, the 50-40 club, those 40 stolen bases would be the most of all time for a designated hitter. If you're hitting 50 homers, hitting 325, you'll have an OPS over 1,000 on the year. That's what I think wins him the MVP.
Okay.
40-40, breaking an all-time record. I think he absolutely can win the MVP, the MVP at that pace.
Yeah. That's close.
We'll see.
I say Triple Crown. You say 40-40?
Yeah, I think he goes 50. I think he can get 50-40.
Oh, okay.
50 homers, 40 stolen bases, obviously entering the 40-40 club. We saw Acuna do that with the 80 stolen bases last year. So
at Dodger Stadium, they gave him the base.
Was that at Dodger Stadium?
They signed a base. I remember it was a big moment at Dodger Stadium. They gave him the base.
I think it was a milestone home run for him that he did at Dodger Stadium. Because I think it was a grand slam, and he had just had a kid. He had just gotten married.
Yeah, I think it was
literally
the
night before got married.
Right? We'll figure it out, but I think it was.
I don't know.
All right. Well, before we wrap up this week in Shohei Ohtani news, we've got some more news, but in the entertainment side of the world for Shohei Ohtani, because it was announced by Lionsgate that they're in early stages of an Ohtani Ippei gambling scandal TV series.
Of course
this is as Hollywood as you can get. He arrives in LA playing for the Dodgers. This happened right after their first game of the season, and there's already a TV show in the works about it.
I'm glad that they felt the need to mention the early stages. I'd be a bit concerned if
how long have you known about this?
They're deep in it, it's almost done. It's like, wait a second. How long have you known?
Yeah,
of course they're in the early stages. Of course this is happening. There is absolutely going to be something, whether this comes to fruition or not.
It would be huge.
There is going to be something that comes out. It's one of the from what I read about it, they were phrasing it around this being the biggest gambling story in baseball since Pete Rose. So obviously there's going to be a story that comes out about it, and we'll see. We'll see if it ends up coming to fruition.
Do you think he needs approval to be able to make this happen?
I have no idea.
There's so much going on for Ohtani this year. It's like, hey, now we're going to make a TV show about you. That's crazy. Now, okay, we do obviously a lot of content around Ohtani. So who knows? Maybe we would be in it. If we were in it, who would play you in this series?
This is a good question.
Yeah.
Who would play me? I'll go with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Also, maybe a little young Jim Carrey if he can travel back in time many years. You would see it. Look at an old school photo of Jim Carrey. You'd see it.
I mean, Jim Carrey was one of my faves back in the day. Ace
All right.
Ventura? Are you doing like
Exactly.
Ace Ventura?
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, this is a very Ace Ventura
The reason
look.
Ace Ventura might
Yeah.
be it might be my Halloween costume.
Ooh,
this
that's a
year,
good one.
'cause-
I love Ace Ventura.
Okay. What
Okay.
about you? Who's playing you?
I get Mila Kunis a lot, maybe.
Okay.
I like that she has a good sense of humor and she's weird. I like a good, like, you know, cool, weird
good
person.
sense of humor. That makes one of you.
Right? Meg and Family Guy, Ted, that 70s show. I feel like those are like all vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
Man.
So a lot happening in the world of Shohei this week. And that is why we have this segment, which if you haven't heard is my favorite segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news. Thanks for watching. If you like catching up on the latest news around Major League Baseball, weekly interviews with Atlanta Braves legend John Smoltz and your favorite MLB players, make sure you hit that subscribe button.